Hi, my name is Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Nice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Mark.
And we've just finished playing Sanctum, which is essentially Diablo the board game, if you ever played that on the computer. We are sort of working through, when you first start off the game, you kind of start off in this little village here, and you work your way through these various spaces, and as you progress up here, various monster cards pop up. You each take a hero. It's kind of hard to see my hero because it's sort of covered by spaces like equipment, but this was me, and you sort of add various equipment that makes you better at fighting and things. But you're trying to fight through monsters. There's a whole pile of these different monster decks, and as you move on to the various spaces here, you can see we're adding a couple of monsters, and on your turn you can either, if you can see this, sort of advance up sort of on your journey, which reveals a few more monsters. Then you can decide to fight some monsters, like take them effectively, or you can fight the monsters you've got. So if I decide to move, you take your character, and I might move to here, I reveal the two monsters, and I might decide to fight these two monsters. There's going to be quite a lot of these monsters out when you're actually playing, so you've got a choice of what you fight. And you add them to your supply here, and that'll be the end of my go. But on a subsequent turn, I can then decide to fight them. And the way you fight them is you're rolling dice, so you start off, you have a couple of dice, you roll them, and you're trying to get the numbers. Here I've rolled a 1 and a 2 on here. Now this is not very good because I needed a 4 and a 6 to beat these guys, but I've got a 1 and a 2. Well, the name of the game here is all about dice manipulation. So you have various abilities, equipment and things that let you re-roll it. So for example, I've got this poison blade ability, which lets me turn 1s into 6s. Great, so I'll take this 1, change it into a 6, and now that will let me defeat that guy. Now I need to defeat this guy with a 4. Well, my bandit's crossbow here, if I spend, you've kind of got, this was focus, I think. What was this one, Mark?
Something else.
Strength or yes, something like that. So I spend some focus, which is a bit like mana, I suppose, put it on here to turn a dice into a 4. So now I can turn this into a 4, and there we go, and I defeated this one. Now, whatever you defeat, after you've defeated it, you kind of flip it over and you get a certain number of gem advances. You have this sort of skill ability table here, and to start with, these things are all kind of flipped on the other side, and they have gems on them sort of that kind of match the colours, so that would be like 2 greens there. And whatever you flipped over, so in this case I could advance a red gem, so maybe this gem here, you could advance it kind of up 1 space. Now, once you unlock all the things off a space, it reveals it. So this will get me a potion bag. I can gain a potion. So you can see I've unlocked various skills here. They're unlocked by advancing these gems up. Now, once you get them to the top, you can also cast like this will give you a red and a blue, like a focus and a strengthy thing. Once you get to the top, you can also then spend your gems to kind of equip things. To start with though, after you defeated the monster, it just goes in your bag. You don't actually get the, in this case, knight's armor to start with, you just carry it around with you. Let's say I wasn't able to get a 4 here. Any monsters that you weren't able to defeat then hit you. So this would hit you for 1 damage, and you can see you've got my Horns of Judgment. If I spend one of my red things on here, that would mitigate 2 damage. So I could then stop the damage that this guy was trying to do to me. And he would kind of hang around. So you kind of keep advancing, grabbing more and more monsters on your journey, and then you kind of fight the monsters when you do the fighting thing. But after a while, you can see all the various blue and red things are appearing on the things, and you can't reuse them. So I use this one to turn it into a 4, let's say. I can't use that again. So at some point, you're going to have to rest, and you kind of restore all your like blue things and red things, go back up to the top, so then that means you can use them again, and it frees up the spaces so you can use them on there again. And this is where you can equip the items. So anything you've got here, you can then add, you maybe swap out for better equipment and things, but you must have the gems at the top right. They must have got up to this top section, so it's not enough just to have got them off here. They must have got all the way to the top. White ones are wild, so I could sort of use this to complete that, and then I get to add this, which will make me sort of better at defending, for example. So this armor, at the moment, this one kind of will mitigate 1s. But this one, I stick 2 red things on here and it mitigates 3. So you're kind of upgrading your equipment, but the equipment's all on the back of the monster cards. And you can see, like this is a helmet here, but you're getting swords and various crossbows and rings and things by defeating the monsters. So you progress through a bunch of these different boards, unlocking your skills, getting more blue and red things, getting better equipment, and leveling up essentially in order to defeat the final boss. Now this is once you get to through enough of these boards, you kind of face the final demon boss here, and you have a final fight. You lay out a bunch of these cards, and by this point you can also unlock extra dice. So you do have quite a lot of dice here, and you roll a whole pile of these dice, and you have to progress through them one at a time. So to start with, I sort of move my character onto there. Let me just grab my guy, and I need to try and get a 1 and a 4. But you've got a lot of abilities to help you mitigate. Once you've done this, you move on to here, and he does a flame blast, and you kind of work through as much as you can. And then after that, he hits you for whatever damage is left on here. So at the bottom is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever that is, you kind of add up, and he does that to you. You only have 10 health in the game, and you can't really heal health in this game. So you need damage mitigation. The armor is very important in this. But essentially, you're trying to work through all these various abilities that he does, and there's some cards that do extra bad things to you as well. Trying to get through to the end. If you manage to complete and get to the end with all the various dice numbers, then you win. It is kind of competitive. So Mark, you can see he was doing the same thing on his side. We were kind of not racing, but trying to get to the end. Mark unfortunately died, didn't quite make it. But I did manage to defeat the final demon in the end. What do we think?
Yeah, it's kind of like a game of two halves. I think the actual levelling itself system, the moving up, progressing, killing some stuff, then levelling up your skills is really good, and then going, oh, I've got some items. What do I want to take so I can get these skill levels? Because obviously you get green, red and blue effects you can move up. So you're like, well, I want those so I can move up that, so I can knock that ability. That all works together quite nice. It's relatively simple. You always kind of know what you're doing, but there's an interesting choice of, well, I got a choice of 5 different pairs or sets of demons, and I'm like, which ones work better for me? Also, because you can see what the type of item they should give you, whether it be armour or weapons, etc., is without knowing what it's going to be, is on the front. So you go, well, they don't have a good weapon currently, or my good weapon's still only a level 1, I probably want a better one. So they have lots of good decisions on that. And then you get to the demon bit, and it feels like you're playing a different game. I know it's still ultimately rolling dice and trying to match the dice to do stuff, but it just doesn't feel like the rest of the game. I suppose the idea is you're on now at a level that you're ready to fight him, so it is different. You're not going to be upgrading anymore. But it just stands so stark, feels so stark against the very, they're quite enjoyable, just the normal game. But other than that, yeah, it's simple. The characters are different. I guess I'd have concern that once you've played a character, you've kind of seen that character, you probably want to play a different character each time, which only really gives you four real, like, fresh attempts at it. I guess there's a reasonable amount of variability depending on what weapons, like what items, what boss cards come out and stuff. It's good, and it's fun as a dice manipulation game. I think people who like this sort of theme will like this, but I don't think it's amazing. It's a decent.
Rating?
I think I would give it a 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, it's a weird one. I think it has some great points to it, and some, yeah, as Mark said, it's okay but not amazing. The levelling up is fantastic. It's really, really satisfying. It's nice choosing the monsters. You're often choosing based on, if you kill this monster, you're going to get a helmet or a sword or whatever it is. And so you're looking at what you got. You're also looking at the colours. The colours of the gems matter a lot, both for the skills that you're unlocking and also then which ones match the equipment that you're getting from killing the monsters. So there's some nice decisions to be made there. And you do really feel like you're getting a lot more powerful as you go on. There is quite a bit of luck to the game. You're rolling a lot of dice. Yes, you can mitigate it, but you can still get unlucky. And I felt with dice rolls, like I just got luckier than Mark throughout the early stage of the game. And then I sort of was ahead of him on the curve. There are achievements that you're also racing for. And that's one thing I wasn't very keen on the game. Essentially, it is competitive. I'd much prefer it if it was cooperative. It feels a little bit like multiplayer solitaire with all the dice things. You can often do your turn and not worry about anyone else, and the Mark can be doing his turn almost at the same time. So it plays fairly quickly, but because you're racing for the achievements and I got ahead of the curve with Mark, I got almost all the achievements, which meant I was getting extra abilities that he couldn't get, which I think is why I managed to beat the boss at the end and he didn't. So that feels a little bit unfair. I'm not sure there was much that he could really do about that. I do like the variety with the characters. They do feel very different. They've got a completely different set of skills, so you're playing very differently with each character, although Mark says, as he says, there's only 4 of them. The boss fight at the end is hard. It's really hard, and it just feels a bit random. It feels like, again, depending on the card draws, you can get a bit unlucky with it. So Yeah, a bit of luck there I'm not so keen on. Prefer it if there was some kind of co-op variant, but the upgrading, leveling system's fantastic. So for like 3/4 of the game I was having a great time. Really liked killing the monsters, leveling up my stuff, and then it just feels a bit anticlimactic with the boss fight at the end. But as Mark says, it's a decent game. I would be on, I think for the leveling alone, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Alright, thanks for watching. That was Sanctum.